All right, guys. So, Michael Smirkanish is, he's another guy who I think it's fair to call him human oatmeal. That was always my nickname for Chuck Todd, because he's just incredibly boring and he never says anything interesting. Michael Smirkanish is the CNN version of Chuck Todd. He is boring, bland, stale, vanilla, wishy-washy centrist, never said anything interesting. Well, guess what? We finally found something that riles him up. We finally found something that gets him furious, okay? Wait until you see this. Here's his thoughts on Luigi Mangione and Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO who got assassinated.
I slowed my gait as I passed a side entrance to the Hilton Hotel, realizing that this was the same day, in the same early morning hour, in the precise location where 1 week prior, a 50-year-old father of two was assassinated. But something was missing. Any sign whatsoever of the tragedy that occurred right here and which has captivated the nation. We've all seen the crime scene that's been shown many times in the media. There it is. But a week later, here's what was left. A lone piece of NYPD crime tape affixed to a barrier. No memorial of the kind that often appears spontaneously after a similar tragedy, like when John Lennon was murdered in New York City in 1980, or when 32-year-old Heather Heyer was run down in Charlottesville, Virginia.
You're going to compare this United Health CEO to John Lennon and Heather Heyer? Weird, they got memorials. This guy didn't get a memorial. Maybe I should think about why that is before I pontificate on it. No, I'd rather just pontificate on it. Oh my God, this is embarrassing.
George Floyd's murder.
Oh, you compared him to George Floyd.
In Minneapolis. The spot in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber were shot and killed by Kyle Rittenhouse. Crowds grieve the loss of Helena Hutchins, the cinematographer who was fatally shot on the set of the film Rust. The University of Georgia held a vigil for Laken Riley, a nursing student who was killed by a migrant near campus.
This is embarrassing. When people die, they usually get memorials, but like this guy didn't have a memorial, but he's a person and he died. So, lay epic own with facts and logic, broskies. Oh my God. Look at his face. His face just emits low IQ.
And when Donald Trump returned to the site of his first assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, supporters appropriately honored Corey Comparatori's life and service by placing his firefighter's uniform in the stands. But there was no sign of any makeshift memorial on 54th Street.
I can't. This is like... Bro, like when my grandma died, I cared. But like, why didn't I care the same amount when Osama bin Laden got murked, bro? They're a person. They died. We gotta be equal, bro. We gotta be equal. Like, what are you doing? What is this?
But there was no sign of any makeshift memorial on 54th Street. Instead, a poster was taped outside the Hilton Hotel depicting the suspect as a saint with the words, "Free Luigi," a reference to the 26-year-old charged with second-degree murder.
I would love to ask Michael Smirkanish, do you not find it remotely interesting why this is the reaction? Why there is no memorial for Brian Thompson? Why there are the Free Luigis on? Does that not interest you? Do you just shut your brain off and go, murder's bad? Again, thank you. Brilliant. I'd love to thank all the amazing, brilliant, intellectual commentators who reminded us this week that murder is indeed bad. I would really like to thank you. Everybody forgot. They forgot, but you reminded them, and now they got it, right? So thank you for your contribution to the conversation. Like, he's not interested. He's not interested. It is a fascinating phenomenon that the reaction was what it was. And you know what? We have the answer. We know why the reaction was what it was. Because fucking everybody in this country has a horror story. It's not just me and hardcore lefties who are like, man, our health insurance system shouldn't exist as it does. That's a widespread belief, bro. And look, I naively and incorrectly thought, oh, like since I know a little bit about how the system works, that's why I feel like I do. But other people, if they don't know the way it works, they don't have that same feeling. Wrong, they do. And maybe I sold people short in the sense that they do know more than I thought they knew. They know that with a health insurance company, you pay them every month. And by the way, that it goes up and up and up and up and up. So they're price gouging you on the front end. And on the back end, they deny you claims wherever they can to make more profit. Everybody gets that. Everybody knows that. Everybody sees they're an unnecessary middleman that acts like a mafia, a parasitic mafia that price gouges you. Everybody knows that. Apparently, everybody knows medical bills are the top cause of bankruptcy in this country, and everybody knows somebody who has a horror story, has somebody who died because they couldn't get the care that they needed, etc. And since they overreach, since this impacted way too many people, since they know these people provide no positive service That was the reaction. Here, I'll make this simple for you, Michael Smirkanish. Let me make this really simple for you. So I could use the extreme example. You know what? I'll water it down a little bit, okay? If somebody was an indentured servant and they finally get freed, and then they gun down the head of the indentured servant company, I don't think you're going to see memorials for the indentured servant executive. Because people look at it and go, you know what? Indentured servitude? I'm going to go ahead and say that's wrong. I watered it down. I was going to use the slavery example. The slavery example is, you have a slave and they end up killing the plantation owner. And you're not going to see, broader society is not going to be like, oh, murder is bad and wrong and no matter who we're talking. No, they're going to be like, yeah, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. I kind of get it. That's not to say murder is good. It's not. That's to say that context matters, right? Specifics matter. What the person's legacy is matters. And we all just these idiots like to shut their brains off and pretend. See, here's the thing. Michael Smirkanish he's a simpleton. And I mean that quite literally. That here's a man who, since there is the veneer of respectability in the way the system works, that dupes him into thinking it's got to be legit, right? It's the same kind of thing that you see if the IDF carpet bombs a whole bunch of kids, murders women and children, starves an entire population. These are the type of morons who look at the situation and go, well, hold on, the IDF, they're wearing finely pressed suits and they look really official and they have patches on their arms. So it's got to be legit, right? They look serious. They look legit. They're playing the role. So, and this is the same kind of thinking. It's the same kind of simplistic thinking. Well, hold on. These health insurance companies are giant corporations. They have many people who are clients of theirs and customers of theirs. They pay them every month. There's a corporate structure. You have, the executive at the top. They make decisions and policy tweaks all the time. And so since there's a guy at the top and it's very organized and the guy wears a suit and tie and he goes to meetings, therefore, he's a valued member of society. Wrong, no. I hate to tell you this, Michael Smirkanish, you can wear a suit and tie and be head of an organization, and the whole purpose of that entire organization can be predatory and wrong and immoral and unethical, right? It's like the predatory payday loan industry. Same thing. Shouldn't exist. Like private mercenary armies. Shouldn't exist. Like private prisons. Shouldn't exist. There are certain things that shouldn't fucking exist. They just shouldn't exist. That whole industry is a fucking farce. That whole industry is criminal by its very nature. And health insurance is probably the worst of the worst. And so he fell for the trick. He's also probably status quo bias too, right? Like, what do you mean? This is how it works, and that's always how it works. So it's gotta be like that, right? Yeah, but again, you could have made that argument back when we had indentured servants or back when we had slavery. Like, what do you mean? It's always been like this. So why would people now have a problem with the plantation owner? It's like, because some people are more in touch with the nature of reality and what is fair and just and ethical and immoral than you are. With your fucking Nat IQ in your comfy studio over at CNN, wanting a memorial for Brian Thompson, like, maybe instead of pontificating, stop and think, hey, why is the reaction like it is? And if you bothered to think about it, if you bothered to look into it, if you bothered to read the stories of the countless people who've had their lives ruined from health insurance companies, then he would know. Then he would know. He wouldn't come out here looking like a fool, like he is. So, I mean, absolutely embarrassing. Just pathetic. And remember, the media, in the wake of Trump winning, the media had this moment of like, bro, wow, we really kind of missed the mark. I guess maybe we need to understand the people better, bro. We need to we really need to get back in touch, bro. And then, boom, first instance of like, why is the reaction is what it is? They're immediately like, everybody shut up. Everybody sit down, shut up. Don't say that. Don't believe that. This is bad. Murder's bad and murder's wrong. I'm not going to look any deeper. I'm not going to think about it. It's like, well, this is the problem now, isn't it? You're totally incurious as to why the population is where it is. There's a bubbling, boiling, seething anger and hatred towards the status quo, towards the corruption in the system, towards the immorality of the system. And you got nothing to say about it except, give the guy some flowers on a memorial. He's just not smart. All right, guys, that's the show, y'all. Love y'all very much. Everybody do me a big favor. Like and subscribe. Click that bell icon so you get a notification every time a video drops. You can support the show on Patreon. Thank you to everybody who does that. That link's below. You could also support Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack if you're so inclined. That's right here. You could tip with that thanks button on YouTube. And that's all I got for you, man. Thank you to everybody who supports the show. Couldn't do it without you guys at all. I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.